Namaste, namaste to everyone. Namaskara, namaste, sir. We have Dr. Shivanand here.
Namaste.
Welcome to Maithreya, sir. A very, very hearty welcome, and thank you for accepting my invitation
Thank
to
you.
come on the platform. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Smita. It's a pleasure being with you people.
Thank you,
And
sir.
thanks for giving me this opportunity to interact with you people.
Thank you, sir. So, talking about Dr. Shivanand Nayak holds a PG degree in psychology and is trained graphologist. He is the founder trustee of Awake Foundation, that's AWAKE, Awake Foundation, and chief mentor of Handwriting House. The work experience is spread across domains of corporate sales and training, counseling, handwriting skills, training in graphology, application of graphology in academics, individual students and professionals to achieve excellence. He passionately pursues the causes he's associated with, like an activist. So, Sir has been a regular feature in media debates associated with student causes. He has written several articles in the newspaper also. So thank you so much, sir, for accepting. And it's a great introduction and very, very happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Smita.
Yes, sir. Talking about graphology. Yes, sir. For a
Okay.
layman or for a person who is new to this whole science of handwriting analysis, how can you explain graphology, sir, in simple terms?
Okay. When we talk about handwriting,
Hmm.
people generally immediately relate to the writing part that we do,
Correct.
which is to a large extent true.
Hmm.
But there are two factors to this. One is called as the conscious writing, another is called as the subconscious writing.
Okay.
For example,
Hmm.
people practice calligraphy.
Yes.
In fact, many times people ask me about, okay, do you train people in calligraphy?
Hmm.
Okay. Calligraphy is a conscious writing where I make the movements deliberately. I want the writing to come in a very specific manner.
Okay.
Whereas in graphology,
Hmm.
we don't ask the writer to write in a specific manner. We only interpret the writing, whatever the writer has done,
Hmm.
in not standard conditions, but in general conditions.
Okay.
For example, one of the standard procedures that we adopt in terms of analyzing a writing is to
Hmm.
make the writer
Hmm.
write a dictation.
Okay.
So what we do is we vary the speed, we follow a storyline, thereby the writer is not able to control the writing.
Hmm.
Instead, the writing comes almost automatically.
Correct. Yes.
And that is when you can interpret that as the personality of the writer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, graphology has actually reached a different level in terms of the analysis of the writing also.
Okay.
Three major areas is one is to interpret handwriting as the thought process or personality of the writer.
Hmm.
Second is to interpret the writing as the health indicator.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, and third is handwriting also is used by forensic document examiners,
Hmm.
and they look into two aspects in this. One is, of course, the features that we also look for psychological issues. They
Okay.
also see it in a mechanical manner.
Hmm.
For example, to confirm is it a forged writing or the original writing?
Hmm.
So it can be handwriting or the signatures.
Correct. Yes.
Most of the times, of course, in document examinations, it is the signature which is
Signature.
given greater prominence.
Yes.
Okay. Whereas in health and psychology, we
Hmm.
interpret writing in two different ways.
Okay. Okay.
So for a psychologist, it's about the thought process of the writer,
Hmm.
thereby the personality of the writer.
Hmm.
In health,
Hmm.
it is about the health conditions of the writer.
Okay.
In
Okay.
fact, there have been clinical trials today which are available. We can refer them on the internet also,
Hmm.
where handwriting has been used as a diagnostic tool.
Okay. Okay. That is very
Yeah,
interesting to know, sir. I mean, there's so much science behind this. And
exactly.
yes. Also, sir, how early can you interpret a child's character or behavior looking at the handwriting? How early do you mean at school level or at college level?
Yeah. We normally start working with children after the age of 6. The child
Okay.
has to complete minimum 6 years
Mm-hmm.
completed, not started 6 years. It is
Com-
6 years completed.
okay.
Basically, because
Mm.
writing requires hand-mind coordination.
True.
Okay, and this hand-mind coordination in a child develops between the age of 6 and 9.
Mm-hmm. True.
And from that age, we try to understand the adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
We don't call it as the personality. In fact, till the age of 21 or 22, the
Mm.
writing is still not said to be mature enough.
Okay.
Even though from about 16 or 17 up to 21, 22, there is a steadiness in the handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, the
Mm.
individual is susceptible to influences.
Correct.
So, day to day experiences can have an impact, and thereby there can be a change in the handwriting.
Okay.
Okay. When it comes to children, we look at it as adjustment of the child.
Okay.
For example, from 7 to 9 years or 6 to 9 years, it
Mm-hmm.
is more to do with the emotional adjustments of the child.
Okay.
From 9 to 12,
Mm.
it's a slightly different outlook we try to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And 12 to 16, it is again a slightly different way of looking at the handwriting because the child is now getting into the teens.
Correct. Yes.
So their emotional and cognitive development can be different.
Mm-hmm. True.
Thereby, the interpretation will change. It is not the same for a 9-year-old, 12-year-old, or a 16-year-old
Mm. True.
because the personality still is not formed.
Exactly. Yes. True.
So this is how the writing will be interpreted. But yes, it can give a lot of vital clues
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the adjustment of the child.
Okay. Okay. So once when the child and the parent is with you, and you also know that there is something which is significant in the child's handwriting, maybe the maybe the mental state of the child is has to be highlighted, has to be told to the parent in such a way that he needs help. So do you also do counseling to the child and the parents?
Yes. In fact, this is one of the primary purposes of analyzing child's handwriting.
Okay.
And normally, what we consider is that child is not the locus of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Child is only a victim of circumstances.
Correct. Very well said.
What circumstance you provide them in the school, what
Mm.
circumstance you provide at home,
Yes.
all these have an impact on the child's development.
Yes.
So, thereby, we try to understand what are the different impacts here.
Mm.
For example, a
Mm.
child being continuously compared
True.
can get reflected in the handwriting of the child, and we bring it to the notice of the parents.
Mm.
Now, I probably will not accuse the parents of making a comparison.
Mm.
Instead, we give them specific exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Thereby, the child is no the parents stop making a comparison of the child with the other children or maybe siblings itself.
Mm. Correct.
Okay, see, one common thing that we get to see is when there are siblings and the older one often
Mm.
is told,
Mm.
now you have grown up now, mean
Yes.
doddo now,
Correct. Yes.
correct? Okay, now a 5-year-old is compared to a 2-year-old, this child is elderly, but then is it really grown up? Does it have the power of discrimination? Can it really think the way an adult can think?
Mm.
It cannot.
Yes.
And sometimes parents even expect the child to take responsibility for the younger one.
Correct. Yes.
Even a 12, 13-year old, if you're expecting the parent to or the child to take responsibility of the younger one, it probably is unfair to the child.
Mm. Mm.
So this is something parents need to understand, and we can see specific signals in the child's handwriting.
Okay. All right.
So we bring it to the notice of the parents, and usually I insist that both the parents take part in this.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We have had very specific incidences where a child being bullied at school, it gets reflected in the handwriting. A
Mm.
child being sexually abused in school, or
Mm.
maybe even at home, it gets
Yes.
reflected in the handwriting.
Yes.
Pressure on the child not liking to write,
Correct.
okay, or maybe a teacher or somebody else is abusing it physically or emotionally.
Mm.
All these things can be read through the handwriting.
Yes. Yes.
And primarily, it is the responsibility of the parents to
Mm.
support the child.
Yes.
That is where the role of the parents become very, very crucial. And unfortunately, a lot of parents have a hesitation
Mm.
in terms of approaching a psychologist.
True. That is
because
very
they
true.
consider this as a mental problem. And I would like to convey through this forum to the parents that please approach a psychologist the moment you see slightest of the problems also. If you are not able to recognize or you're not able to understand what is happening there, take professional help, because in the long run it helps you, it helps your child.
True. Very well said, sir. Sir, for people who have different handwriting styles, maybe two or three at the same point of
Okay.
time, so
Hmm.
will it be tricky for you to analyze their character?
Okay. People usually have one standard style.
Okay.
Okay. And especially when it comes to students, we have seen that they are capable of manipulating their handwriting. When I
Yes.
say manipulate, they are able to retain a very strong control on the handwriting for a reasonably long period of time.
Hmm. True.
So this is where we adopt the technique of giving the dictation.
Hmm.
Okay. And as I'm giving dictation, and if I'm watching that individual, I will be able to understand whether they're still exercising control.
Oh, okay.
So that is where we will have our own ways of actually putting them off guard,
Hmm. True.
and then making them write their, making them write the original writing, if I have to put that way.
Hmm. True.
Because there is a original writing that the individual has.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. But yes, in some cases, we also see fluctuations in the handwriting. For example, we talk about the slant being fluctuating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this need not be manipulated per se. It is a part of the writing style itself,
Okay.
and that is interpreted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So when
But
you
by
say
and large, each individual has his or her own style of writing.
own style,
There is one
yes.
original style, even though they can adapt to different styles.
Hmm.
And this is true for students in particular.
Correct. Yes. Rightly said that they might manipulate, but they have one particular style. That's
Yes,
well said.
yes.
Sir, when you analyze a handwriting, I mean to say when you look at a handwriting in the first
Hmm.
glance, what are the letters that you look at? Maybe the taller letters, or the what is significantly stand out when you look at a handwriting?
Okay. Actually, while analyzing writings, we have 16 factors that we observe.
Okay.
Okay, it's a long list actually.
Yes.
Right from the slant of the writing, the size of the writing, the
Okay.
pressure that you exert, the margins that you leave,
Hmm.
the connectivity of the writing,
Hmm.
signature. So there are 16 factors which are looked into.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yes, and then comes the individual strokes also.
Hmm.
Individual pen movements, which are
Hmm.
made by the writer, can give us very specific clues.
True.
So not necessarily that we focus on specific. Yes, letters do matter,
Hmm.
but then it is not only the letters which give us the clues. There are a lot of things which can actually be studied.
Okay. All right, sir.
But coming to letters, since you made a mention, let me tell you, yes, we do focus on letters like T,
Hmm.
letters like M, Y, A. So,
Yes.
and then we have beginning strokes, the ending strokes. There are so many things which can be observed
True.
actually.
When I attended your workshop last time, I do remember that you said the letter T. So wherever we put
Yes,
the stroke, it directly represents how confident we are as a
yes,
person. So that is so true, sir. I mean, without my knowledge, it goes to the tip of the stroke. So
correct.
and also when I compare it with my sister, so she places
Mhm.
it in the middle. So she's not a risk taker. That was rightly told by you. So I could relate that today. Yes, sir. So
Yes,
coming
you get
to
a lot of clues that way.
yes,
In several letters, we can get specific clues.
yes, sir. So coming to school and coming to teaching and teachers. So what advice would
Mhm.
you want to give to teachers who find it very difficult at times to, understand a child as to what is happening, why the handwriting is going bad, and how to deal with this?
Okay. I personally believe that we need to have psychologists closely associated with the academic work,
Okay,
number one.
okay.
Second thing is the teacher also needs to be trained
Hmm.
adequately in terms of understanding at least a few clues from handwriting as well as behavior.
Okay.
See, ultimately, the very purpose of my work is to help the child flourish,
Correct.
to help them to evolve.
Mm.
So, understanding a child becomes very, very crucial for us.
Mm.
Thereby, first thing is understanding the developmental stages.
Okay.
When a child is actually capable of writing.
Mm.
Today in schools, often we find child is forced to write by UKG or
Yes.
sometimes even LKG.
True.
That is not the time to write actually.
Mm.
A child has four stages. One is the gross motor skill,
Mm.
fine motor skill development, hand-eye coordination, and hand-mind coordination.
Yes.
And for learning handwriting as a skill, the child needs to have developed adequate hand-mind coordination. And at that time, if you teach the handwriting skill even once, that
Mm.
is more than adequate. It's
Mm.
like learning driving. This is what I compare always. You
Correct.
don't have to learn driving 10 times in your lifetime. You learn
Correct.
it once, it's set.
Yes.
Similarly, handwriting skill also can be learned with one single training of
Mm.
about 3 to 4 months,
Yes.
but it needs to be done at the right time.
Correct.
Whereas the unfortunate part in the schools today is the child is given a lot of written homework
Mm.
before they develop adequate hand-mind coordination.
Correct.
So naturally, when the muscle strengths are not developed, when the hand-mind coordination is not developed, the activity becomes a challenge, it becomes difficult for the child, and they
Mm.
will start developing an aversion to write.
Correct. Yes.
And once they develop an aversion, you will get to see this as a reflection in terms of their attitude towards homework,
Mm.
completion of classwork, or completion of notes. Often parents complain of child not being interested in writing it down.
Correct.
And especially once the child crosses fourth standard, we
Mm.
have seen many students have handwriting problems.
Correct. Yes.
Legibility is compromised, organization is compromised,
Mm.
and plenty of complaints are brought up by the parents.
Correct. Yes. Sir, coming to new age parenting and also new age education, so called the system of education. At the age of
Mhm.
2, children are so comfortable using a laptop, using an iPad, using a mobile phone, a smartphone. So, continuous usage of these gadgets, will it affect their direct, will it have a direct impact on their handwriting, on their writing skills or hand-eye coordination?
Latest studies reveal that
Mm.
when a child is exposed to touchscreen devices,
Yes.
particularly,
Mm.
we today use a lot of touchscreen devices, particularly
Yes.
when touchscreen devices are being given to the child,
Mm.
they do have an issue in terms of development of their hand-mind coordination and
Mm.
fine motor skills,
Okay.
which gets reflected later on in their academic years as learning disabilities.
Mm. True. Yes.
So there has been a correlation
Mm.
in usage of gadgets as well as academic performance of the child.
Okay.
On the other hand, we also need to understand that
Mm.
the radiations emitted by the gadgets can have an impact on the child.
Yes.
Um, then, of course, in terms of imagination of the child or the cognitive development of the child, because
Mm.
when you are seeing certain thing, the imagination is fixed. For
Correct.
example, if me reading a story, describing a big elephant,
Mm.
and me seeing a big elephant on the screen are two completely different things. In one case, you have a representation, the imagination of the child is fixed.
Mm.
In the other case, you don't have a representation, the child has the freedom of imagining the size of the elephant.
So true.
So this is where imagination and the creativity of a child gets impacted when you're exposed to those kind of things.
Very well said, sir. True. Yes. Also, coming to your Handwriting Institute, is there an eligibility criteria for teachers and parents to get in the institute, and what is the process of the training, sir?
Okay. See, we have different programs for different people. For example, I get students where the enrollment starts after completion of 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I do get even IAS aspirants enrolling into our handwriting skills program.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Now, this skill training happens for personal use.
Okay.
So they are made to practice certain things which is personally beneficial to them.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to teachers, primary or higher level teachers
Mm.
can take up handwriting skill training where they will be taught how to impart the skill in students or others.
Okay.
So they can become handwriting instructors or handwriting skill trainers
Mm.
after undergoing this particular training.
Okay.
The third level is learning graphology itself,
Mm.
and
Mm.
graphology is taught in two levels. One is called as the handwriting foundation course,
Mm.
and another is the advanced course.
Okay.
The foundation course is specifically addressed to understanding self first,
Mm.
and maybe to an extent others also.
Mm.
So
Mm.
this is a 2-day training program where in these 2 days complete theory part is taken care of.
Okay.
After that, there will be two follow-up sessions
Mm.
where the individual or the learner has to do analysis
Mm.
and come back with their feedback of what analysis they have done.
Okay.
So thereby, we try to understand, has the person able to pick up the skill
Mm.
of analysis and also being able to interpret the understanding or the observations in a manner where the writer is able to understand that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So in 3-4 days you can complete this training. But yes, even parents can learn this, especially parents who have teenagers at home.
Correct.
This
Yes.
can be very, very useful. The foundation course can be very, very useful
Mm.
from two specific aspects. One is to understand the teenager
Mm.
and adapting your communication to the child.
Yes.
Second thing is, if something is happening in that child's life,
Mm.
you're able to get an alert, and probably in such cases, we recommend that you go for professional help
Okay. Yes.
because parents handling such issues can be a little tricky
Correct. Yes.
because they are also emotionally involved there.
Mm.
Hereby, the child may not open up in the first place. And second thing is, more than the objective outlook which is required over there in analyzing the situation and
Mm.
helping the child to get clarity,
Mm.
they become subjective.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And advanced level is normally recommended for people who are in mental health care,
Okay.
or even say for example postgraduates in psychology,
Mm.
people who are into counseling,
Mm.
people who are HR professionals. These are the ones who go for advanced level of training in graphology because they can professionally apply it.
Correct. Yes. Also, sir, in India, would you recommend graphology learning institutes or how to go about it if somebody is interested in learning graphology? Sorry,
Hmm.
in learning graphology or moving ahead in this science, doing a research work. So, how do they go about it in India?
Okay. See, right now in India, graphology has not been recognized as a science, so
Mm.
we do not have official recognition for graphology.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas in countries like Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Argentina, so we have a small list of these countries which have official recognition for graphology.
Okay.
So, in fact, my advanced level of learning I did from a lady by name Erika Karos,
Mm-hmm.
who trained herself in graphology in Germany.
Okay.
So she has provided a lot of references and research material
Mm-hmm.
which she has used during her learning, even
Mm-hmm.
though she's an American.
Okay.
Whereas in America, graphology is not recognized; they do not use it officially.
Okay.
Okay, so in India right now, graphology is not recognized, but unofficially there are good number of people who are using graphology.
True.
But my personal opinion is, if you want to really apply it professionally, it is better that you have some exposure, both in terms of theoretical
Mm.
and practical exposure to psychology.
Psychology. Okay. All right, sir.
Because what happens is when we do an analysis, we are
Mm.
able to identify a lot of things,
Yes.
and taking it forward from there also is equally crucial.
True.
Otherwise, yes, you have done a diagnosis and then you don't know how to treat the condition.
Correct. Yes.
Sometimes it may be something like, opening a wound and you don't know how to close it.
Yes. Yes.
So that is where, yes, streamlining of learning will be definitely useful. And we are working on these lines. In fact, recently I had contacted a couple of institutions like
Mm-hmm.
postgraduate colleges and of course a deemed university also,
Mm.
where we are intending to take up serious work on graphology and its applications in specific areas.
Yes. That's really great to know about it, sir. So that there is a common
Thank you so
point.
much.
If we are interested to know more, we can contact you, or we can contact the institution if it's registered, certified.
Yes, those interested are always welcome to contact us and we can work together.
Sure, sir. So coming back to your interests, or your maybe when you studied your masters in psychology, and when you were in that phase, how did you get this interest in graphology?
Okay, in fact, I learned graphology in the year 2007.
Okay.
Okay, it was somewhat recent, if I have to put
Hmm.
that way.
Hmm.
Because till then I was working in a German multinational company.
Okay.
Okay, so that is how my exposure to corporate was.
Okay.
And once I learned graphology, the first understanding that I got was that I was working in the wrong field,
Okay.
because sales was not my forte.
Hmm.
Even though I enjoyed working with people,
Hmm.
sales was not my forte.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is how I decided immediately to move to corporate training.
Okay.
Since I had a background in corporate, and training again is to do with people.
Hmm.
So I began with the corporate trainings, and during training programs, the participants would come up with their handwriting, their children's handwriting,
Hmm.
and more often I used to get the complaints of the children's handwriting.
Yes. Hmm.
And they needed some guidance, they needed some help.
Hmm.
And at that point of time, I had not really studied much about children's handwriting, and that's where I started working on it.
Okay.
So I had to, because I did not get much of reference materials, very little material was available.
Hmm.
uh, I had to go to schools, collect handwriting samples, take references from here, do my own observation, validate with the children, sometimes maybe involve the parents.
Hmm.
So a lot of work I had to do myself.
Yes.
But then it was all worth, because that is when I got insight into the whole education system,
Correct. Yes.
especially the early education system, where despite provisions being there in the system,
Hmm.
okay, they're not being utilized properly, and the biggest price paid by is by the child,
Hmm. True.
because a child's life can be ruined if things are not understood at the right time and in the right perspective.
Very
For
well said.
example, simple things like a learning disability.
Hmm.
The parent doesn't understand what is the condition of the child. The school teachers or the management doesn't bother what it is, and the blame is put on the child continuously. The child is emotionally abused.
True.
The common statements like, good for nothing,
It's
that
very
one day
traumatic.
do.
Ah.
Yes,
Yes.
it is traumatic to the child.
Yes. Yes.
And my observation, if I have to put it in general terms, two things can happen. One, the child starts believing that I'm good for nothing
Hmm.
and goes into a shell, and they consider themselves as useless people. The
Correct.
other is somebody gets into a vengeance mode.
True.
I am being insulted, I am being put down. So I want to show that I also can do
Can do.
something. And often we have seen these people turn aggressive and can become antisocials too.
Correct. Correct, sir.
This is
Very
the
well,
threat
well
that we
said.
stand.
Yes.
Because we need to understand that every child, according to us, is intelligent. Every child has an ability.
Yes, sir.
Unless we focus on the ability, the child will not be able to grow to its fullest potential.
Correct. And thank God that people like you are here today to guide us, to help us, and also to ensure that we are in the right path, to give us that confidence that as a society, we all come together for the growth and prosperity of our children, who are the
Thank you
backbones
so
of our
much.
society.
I would consider that as a privilege that has been, given to me by the
100%, sir.
Almighty.
So, for whatever work you're doing, the research work, for whatever hard work you're doing, I think, I mean, it is such a boon. We're all honored that you're here today to guide us. And also, simple things like counseling and talking to the child, or identifying a problem at the right time can save, a life.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mehta, you're absolutely right. In fact, especially with teenagers,
Yes.
our approach has been really helpful, because a teenager is quite sensitive about meeting a psychologist or a
Correct.
counselor.
Yes.
And normally they are curious about their handwriting. They want to know what they can do after their probably the school or the college studies.
Mm.
So they are curious to know about their writing and the future options that are available to them. Yes,
Correct.
I do provide career guidance also through handwriting.
Okay.
But once the handwriting is in front of me, I will be able to address virtually every issue that gets represented in the writing.
Okay. Yes, sir. So,
So that is where the advantage is.
yes. So, how do they reach out to you, sir? It's through phone and your
Yes,
email.
parents can call me over phone. They
Okay.
can access me through my Facebook page also.
Okay.
Learning to performing. My Facebook on the wall it is Shivanand Nayak itself.
Okay.
Anybody can access that. Or my page is Learning to Performing. You can access that.
Sure.
Or you can call me directly also
Okay.
and fix up an appointment and you can come down.
Sure.
In fact, during COVID days, we have also provided services online also.
Oh, wow.
Somebody who's finding it difficult to reach out, they have to
Yes.
collect the handwriting sample in a specified manner,
Mm-hmm.
take a picture and mail it to me, and then we fix a online meeting and discuss the handwriting.
Sure, sir. I think the viewers, whoever is watching, please reach out to sir without hesitation if you have a problem, and sir is the right person to guide you. Also, sir, coming to your personal life, I know you have a very busy schedule and it's very tight for you from morning till evening. So, after a busy day, how do you unwind? How do you relax? How do you get back to your home, the reality?
Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, Frankly speaking, I don't keep my schedule very tight.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I have a lot of appointments lined up for the day,
Hmm.
but it is never tight. I
Okay.
do find a time to take small little breaks here and there.
Okay.
Second thing is I have my own personal practices. I
Okay.
am a practicing Kriya Yogi.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I took the initiation again. I mean, this is a coincidence, probably, if you have to put that way.
Mm-hmm.
In 2007 February, I took the initiation into Kriya Yoga, and
Wow, sir.
2007 April, I learned graphology.
Wow.
Okay, and practice of Kriya Yoga has definitely been a wonderful thing for me, which has helped me in several ways,
Mm.
not only professionally, even at personal level.
Mm. That's so
It's
good
a
to hear,
great
sir.
leveler.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
it's a
I am
great
also
leveler.
into yoga right now. I am also
Yeah,
almost finishing my master's in yoga therapy. I'm so happy
wonderful.
to know
Okay,
that yoga plays such an important and significant role in all our lives.
yes. I mean, it needs to be a part of our life.
Yes, true,
This is the gift of this country, of this culture to the world, and
correct.
unfortunately, we have not made use of it in an appropriate manner.
Mm.
And I sincerely believe, yes, even children need to be introduced to yoga at a very early age.
Mm-hmm.
Thereby, they're able to not only have the emotional and psychological balance.
Mm.
Yoga is also supposed to support the intellectual growth of an individual,
Very well said, sir. Yes,
irrespective of their gender.
very well said. 100%. Yes, sir. So, um, last message to our dear parents and teachers who are watching you right now.
Okay, I would like to give a small analogy here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell the parents, please understand you are just a gardener and God has gifted you a plant. Try to find out what plant have you got.
Wow.
And each plant requires a different kind of care. You cannot be treating a mango tree and a rose plant in the same manner. And when you're sending your child to the school, you're putting that plant in a nursery where many a times the watering or whatever care that needs to be given is given indiscriminately. Because when dealt with in a larger scale, the school may not be able to do justice. So, active involvement, participation, and guidance of the parents is absolute must for a child to grow to its fullest potential. Second thing is, please do not restrict your child too much. Also, no regimented upbringing of a child, what we can call as it's like growing a bonsai now.
True.
When you grow the plant like a bonsai, yes, it doesn't fructify again, it doesn't grow to its fullest potential. You have a showpiece, no doubt, but does it really serve the purpose that it is supposed to? It is not going to.
Very well put across, sir. I think we can listen to you the whole day. You speak so well. You are so
Thank you so much.
impactful. You are so positive, sir. I'm extremely humbled and honored. And also, you came in my platform, Maithreya, today to inspire lives. And I'm extremely grateful for this time of yours. I hope all my viewers, whoever is watching, this is the time for you for a change. Be the change. And also, sir is available at any point of time. Reach out if you need help.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
sir.
Smita. I surely look forward for people taking the services that we provide, and you are welcome anytime to contact us, including because I don't have work timings. I do not take weekly offs also. Let me tell you that.
Okay, okay.
I'm available virtually 24/7 because that's the kind of commitment I'm giving to this particular work that I'm doing.
Yes, sir. But yet you said you don't have a busy schedule. So you are,
Yes.
that's the positive way. Sir, tumba tumba ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
so
on
much.
Maithreya
Thank you.
today. Thank you, sir.